I came home early because my boss finally did something kind for once. The client canceled at the last minute. The paperwork could wait, and I was told to take the afternoon. I should have been happy. Instead, I felt this quiet pull to get home, like something in my life was slightly out of place and my body wanted to check it. If you like real relationship stories with hard truths and clean endings, subscribe to the channel and hit like. It helps the channel grow, and it tells the algorithm to send you more of these. The parking lot outside our building was half empty, which was unusual for a weekday. I took the stairs 2 at a time, already thinking about the leftovers in the fridge and the shower I planned to take. I had no suspicion. None. That is what still bothers me. How normal I felt walking toward the door of the place I thought was safe. Our apartment was on the 3rd floor, a corner unit with windows that caught the late sun. We had moved in together a little over a year and a half before. It was not some luxury spot, but it was ours in the way that matters, with furniture we picked out together and routines that made life feel stable. The keys to that apartment were on the same ring as my car key and my gym fob. I never thought about them. I just used them. Her name was Olivia. Most people called her Liv. We had been together 3 years, long enough to have survived the early adjustments, the awkward fights about money and time and personal space, long enough to have learned each other's habits. She knew I drank my coffee too hot and then forgot it existed. I knew she hated silence, so she kept a podcast running in the background like a second heartbeat. Her ex was named Jordan. I knew the name the way you know a scar. Not painful every day, but you still remember it happened. Olivia described him as her past, a chapter she regretted, a relationship she outgrew. She said they were different people now. She said they were not in contact. When his name came up at all, it was in the same tone you use for a bad job you quit. Distant. Finished. I believed her. That week had been busy. My job had me running around, doing long shifts and coming home mentally drained. Olivia worked remote, so her days were structured differently, more flexible, more social in a way mine was not. She had friends who could meet at noon on a Tuesday. She had a calendar full of brunches and yoga and random errands that somehow filled the entire day. We had been a little off, but not in a way that screamed danger. Just the usual drift that happens when 2 people get tired. She had been on her phone more. She had been quick to get irritated when I asked simple questions. She had been wearing her headphones around the apartment like she needed a wall between us. I noticed it, but I told myself it was stress. Everyone has phases. The night before, she told me she had a call with her sister scheduled for the afternoon and she needed the apartment quiet. I said no problem. I would be at work anyway. She kissed my cheek and told me to drive safe. It was normal. It felt normal. I unlocked the door. The deadbolt slid back with the familiar click. I pushed it open. The first thing I noticed was the smell. Cologne. Not mine. Not the clean soap I used. Not the cedar scent Olivia liked in candles. This was sharper, sweeter, and it punched through the air like it belonged there. Then I heard voices. Low voices, not loud enough to make out words, but close enough to tell they were in the living room. A laugh followed, quiet and intimate. The kind of laugh you do when you are trying not to be heard. I stopped with the door half open, my hand still on the knob. My brain tried to be reasonable. Maybe her sister's call turned into a video call with someone else. Maybe a friend stopped by. Maybe I was overreacting because I was tired. Then I heard his voice. I had only met Jordan once at a mutual friend's engagement party early in my relationship with Olivia. It had been awkward, like stepping into someone else's history. He was polite in that detached way, shook my hand, smiled like he was meeting a coworker. But his voice had a tone that sticks. A casual confidence. The kind of man who speaks like he assumes the room will adjust around him. That voice was in my living room. I closed the door quietly. I set my keys down on the entry table without the usual clink. I do not know why I moved like that, like I was sneaking. I think some primitive part of me wanted the truth without interference. If I made noise, they would change. They would perform. The moment would become a story instead of reality. I walked down the short hall toward the living room. They were on our couch, not sitting apart, not stiff, not awkward. Close, comfortable. His arm rested along the back of the couch behind her shoulders like it had been there for years. Olivia's legs were folded under her bare foot tucked near his thigh. She was wearing the oversized sweatshirt I bought her last winter, the one she claimed as hers the first time she wore it. The one that smelled like me when she put it on. Now it smelled like him in the room. They were talking, smiling, leaning toward each other in that way that makes the rest of the world disappear. I saw Jordan's hand briefly touch the side of her neck, not an accidental brush. A slow, familiar touch. Olivia did not flinch. She smiled. My body went cold. I did not cough. I did not announce myself. I just stepped into the doorway. Olivia noticed me first. Her face shifted fast. Surprise, then calculation, then panic. Not guilt, panic, like she was caught in a situation she could not control. Jordan turned slowly, like he had all the time in the world. His eyes met mine. He did not look ashamed. He looked annoyed, like I was interrupting something he considered his. For a second, none of us spoke. Then Olivia said my name. She said it softly, like she hoped she could lower the volume of what was happening. I looked at Jordan, then back at Olivia. I wanted to ask a dozen questions. How long? Why? What did you think would happen? But I did not want a conversation. I wanted the truth, and the truth was sitting on my couch. Why is he here? I asked. Olivia stood up fast. She started talking at the same time she stood, like motion could build a shield. She said he just stopped by. She said he needed to talk. She said he was having a hard time. She said she did not tell me because she knew I would react. Jordan stayed seated for a moment, watching. Then he stood too, stretching like he was at home. He glanced around my living room, at the bookshelf I built, the photo frame on the wall, the rug we argued about buying. He looked like a man surveying property. I asked again, why is he here? Olivia kept talking. Her words blurred. She said closure. She said boundaries. She said she was trying to be kind. She said nothing happened. Nothing happened. She said that while her lipstick looked slightly smeared and her hair was not sitting the way it had been when I left that morning. I looked at Jordan. I said, you need to leave. Jordan let out a small laugh, like he could not believe I was speaking. He said, relax, man. We are just talking. I did not raise my voice. I did not step toward him. I just repeated, leave. Olivia stepped between us quickly, palms out like she was stopping a fight. She said, please do not do this. She said, you are making it worse. She said, we can talk. That sentence made something settle in me. We can talk. As if the situation was still negotiable. As if she had not already invited the past into our present and put it on our couch. Jordan looked at Olivia, not me, like she was the one who mattered. He shrugged like a man who was bored. He said, I will go. He said it with a tone that suggested he was doing a favor, not following a boundary. He walked toward the door, brushing past me close enough that his shoulder nearly touched mine. He smelled like cologne and arrogance. He paused at the entry table, looked at the keys there, then looked at Olivia. He said, call me later. He did not whisper. He did not care if I heard. Olivia did not answer him. She just stared at me, eyes wet, breathing too fast. Jordan opened the door and walked out. The door closed. The apartment was suddenly too quiet. The absence of sound felt like pressure. Olivia started crying. Loud, immediate sobs. She reached for me and I stepped back. Do not touch me, I said. That shocked her more than anything so far. She froze with her hands in the air like she could not believe I had rules now. She said my name again. She said she was sorry. She said it was not what it looked like. She said she did not expect me home. That sentence slipped out like a mistake, and it exposed everything. She did not expect me home, so she expected to have him here without being caught. I asked one question because I needed to hear what she would choose. I asked, "How long has he been coming here?" Olivia shook her head hard, still crying. She said, "Never." She said this was the first time. She said he just showed up. I stared at her. She kept talking. She said he texted her. She said he was nearby. She said he was in a bad place. She said she felt guilty. She said she only let him in to talk. I walked past her into the kitchen. The trash can was half open. I saw a takeout bag on top with a receipt still attached. 2 meals, 2 drinks. The receipt time was an hour ago. I opened the fridge. 2 bottles of soda I did not buy. A container of food I did not recognize. A slice of cake on a plate, like someone celebrated something. I turned back to Olivia. "You fed him," I said. She swallowed. She said she did not want to be rude. I nodded slowly, because it was almost funny how she cared about rudeness now. I asked again, "How long?" Her eyes darted away for a second. That movement was the confession. She whispered, "Just lately." "That is not an answer," I said. She whispered a few times. My chest felt hollow. Not because I was surprised, but because the truth had shape now. I walked into the bedroom. Olivia followed, crying, begging, talking faster. She said she was confused. She said she missed who she used to be. She said she felt lonely. She said I had been busy. She said she did not know how it happened. I opened the closet and pulled out a suitcase. The one we used for trips. The one we packed together for holidays. Her crying turned sharp. She asked what I was doing. I said, "I am leaving." She said, "You cannot." She said, "This is our home." She said, "We can fix this." I started packing calmly. I packed my shirts, my jeans, my work clothes. I took my watch, my laptop, my chargers. I packed my toiletries. I packed the small things that were mine, not shared, not debatable. Olivia stood in the doorway shaking. She said she was sorry again and again, like repetition could create meaning. She said nothing physical happened. She said it was emotional. She said it was just talking. She said Jordan was manipulative. She said she was weak. She said she loved me. I did not argue with any of it. I just watched her try to build a story that would leave her with dignity. Then I saw it. On her nightstand, her phone was face down, but it lit up with a notification. I did not even have to pick it up. The name displayed for a second before the screen dimmed. Jordan. And beneath it, a message preview. "You looked good in my sweatshirt." Olivia saw my eyes go to the phone and she lunged for it too fast. I did not grab it. I did not need to. I had all the proof I needed. I asked, "Did you sleep with him?" Olivia froze. That pause was the loudest sound in the room. She said no. She said not here. She said not in our bed. She said she would never. I stared at her. "You had to clarify not here," I said. Her face crumpled. She tried to speak. Her words broke. I kept packing. She came closer, dropped to her knees by the bed like she was in a movie. She begged. She said, "Please do not do this." She said she would cut him off. She said she would block him. She said she would do anything. Anything except respect me before she lost me. I zipped the suitcase. I carried it into the living room. Olivia followed, still pleading, still crying, still trying to pull me back into the role I always played, the steady one, the forgiving one, the one who would talk it out until he swallowed his pride and called it love. I walked to the kitchen counter and grabbed a notepad. I wrote a note, not a speech, not a paragraph, just the truth. I wrote, "You brought your past into our home. I am leaving you in it." I set the note on the counter near the takeout receipt. Olivia saw it and wailed like the note was a weapon. She tried to block the door again. She said, "Where will you go?" I said, "Somewhere I do not have to wonder who is on my couch when I walk in." She said, "You are punishing me." I looked at her. "No," I said. "I am protecting myself." I stepped around her and left. I drove until my hands stopped shaking, which took longer than I expected because I did not realize they were shaking until I had to grip the steering wheel harder. I ended up at my older brother's place. His name is Marcus. He is the kind of man who does not waste words and does not ask you to repeat pain for entertainment. He opened the door, took one look at me and my suitcase, and let me in. He asked, "What happened?" I said she had her ex in our apartment. He did not ask for details. He just nodded like he already knew what that meant. I slept on his couch that night. I did not sleep well. Every time I drifted off, my brain replayed the scene like it was trying to find a different ending. In the morning, my phone was full. Olivia called so many times it started to look like a pattern instead of a number. She sent messages that swung wildly. "Sorry. Please, I love you. Answer. You are being cruel. Please, I cannot breathe. Answer me." I did not answer. Jordan tried too. He sent one message from a number I did not have saved. It said, "No hard feelings." She needed to talk. No hard feelings. As if he borrowed my lawnmower, not stepped into my life. I blocked the number. Over the next week, Olivia tried every doorway she could find. She emailed. She messaged my brother. She messaged my cousin. She created a new account on social media to send me a paragraph about regret. She even showed up at my job once, waiting near the entrance like she had the right. I did not speak to her there. I walked past her and went inside. That silence drove her crazier than anger would have. At night, when the building was quiet and my brother was asleep, I would lie on the couch and stare at the ceiling. I felt the pain, but I also felt something else. Relief. Because the uncertainty was over. The subtle fear that I had been ignoring had finally resolved into a single truth. I started looking back at the last few months through a new lens. The times she turned her phone away, the random errands, the sudden need for privacy, the way she stopped saying my name in the same warm tone, the way she started talking about growth and finding herself like she was preparing to justify something. It all lined up now. 2 weeks later, I went back to the apartment with Marcus to get the rest of my things. I did not go alone. I did not want to. Not because I was afraid of Jordan, but because I refused to stand in that space and be manipulated again. Olivia was home. She must have taken the day off because she opened the door as if she had been waiting behind it. She looked tired. Her eyes were swollen. She was wearing one of my old shirts, a choice that felt intentional. Marcus stood beside me, silent, watching. Olivia immediately started crying again. She said she was glad I came. She said we needed to talk. She said she had been miserable. She said she made a mistake. I walked past her into the living room without responding. The couch looked the same, but I hated it now. The indentation where Jordan sat was gone, but the memory remained. Olivia followed me, talking. She said Jordan was out of her life. She said she blocked him. She said she realized how toxic he was. She said she was vulnerable and he took advantage. I opened the hall closet and pulled my gym bag out. Marcus watched the hallway. Olivia kept talking. Then I saw something that made my stomach drop again. On the coffee table, a familiar black hoodie. Not mine. A men's hoodie. And underneath it, a set of keys I did not recognize. Olivia saw my eyes land there and her breathing hitched. I looked at her. She said, "Those are old. Those are from before." I was cleaning. Before. I did not believe her. I did not argue. I just picked up my stuff and kept moving. Olivia stepped in front of me. She said, "Please just let me explain." She said, "It did not go the way you think." She said, "You are my home." She said, "He is nothing." I looked at her, And for the first time since that day, I spoke with complete clarity. "If he is nothing," I said, "why did you risk everything for him?" She opened her mouth and no words came out. Marcus finally spoke. He said, "Move." Olivia stepped aside, shaking. I packed the rest quickly. My books, my tools, a framed photo of my parents, a small box of keepsakes, things that had meaning because they were mine, not because she approved of them. In the bedroom, I found the pillowcase on my side replaced with a new one. My old one was gone. That small detail felt like confirmation that she had already started rewriting our space. I carried the last box to the door. Olivia followed me to the entryway. She begged again. She said she would do therapy. She said she would prove it. She said she would spend the rest of her life making it up to me. I paused at the threshold. I said, "You do not get to make it up to me in the same place you disrespected me." She cried harder, like volume could bend reality. I looked at her one last time. "I am not angry anymore," I said. "I am just done." Then I left. Over the next months, I rebuilt in quiet ways. I got my own place. Smaller, cleaner, no shared history in the walls. I started taking care of myself again. I went back to the gym. I ate like a person who wanted to live, not a person who wanted to numb out. Olivia tried to reach me a few more times. The messages changed tone with time. First desperate, then blaming, then apologetic again. Then finally, a long email about how she was trying to find herself and how she hoped I could forgive her someday. I deleted it. Forgiveness is not always reconciliation. Sometimes forgiveness is simply refusing to carry someone else's chaos with you. One evening, about 6 months after I left, I ran into Jordan in a grocery store. I recognized him instantly. Same confident posture, same look in his eyes like he expected the world to make room. He saw me and smiled, like we were old friends. He walked toward me. He said my name and started to talk, probably some smooth explanation, maybe even an apology meant to sound mature. I did not let him finish. I said, "Do not come near me." He laughed slightly, as if I was being dramatic. He said, "Man, she told me you were intense." That sentence was the final gift, because it reminded me of something important. They had talked about me, not with concern, not with respect, with mockery, with storytelling, with the same casual cruelty people use when they want to justify doing something wrong. I looked him in the eyes. I said, "You can keep her. You both seem to like taking what is not yours." His smile dropped for a second. He started to respond, but I turned away, grabbed my groceries, and walked out. I did not look back. That was the difference between me now and me before. Before, I would have needed the last word. I would have needed him to understand. I would have needed Olivia to validate that I was right to feel hurt. Now I did not need any of that, because the truth was simple. The moment I walked into my own home and found my girlfriend with her ex on our couch, the relationship ended. Everything after that was just her trying to manage the consequences. My life is quieter now. Not lonely. Quiet. When I come home early, I hear nothing but my own footsteps. I smell only my own detergent. I sit on my couch, and it belongs only to me. And that is what peace looks like when you finally stop negotiating your self-respect. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and hit like if you want more stories like this.